Well, hello everybody. I am Louise Eddington. I am the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology, and this is your weekend astrology weather report for what's likely to be a crazy weekend, but when isn't it ever these days? Oh boy. Yeah, things are off the charts, and going into this new moon is going to be a challenge. And today we actually reach the last quarter, so the last week before the new moon. But we start the day with Mars Pluto square. And it was exact a couple of hours ago as I write this. And just as Hurricane Delta hits the Louisiana coast, that has been hit by 2 hurricanes already this winter, and I've not followed it closely, but I did catch somebody on the news talking about this this hurricane. We're into like the Greek names, which a lot of hurricane seasons don't go into, and we've still got 6 or 7 weeks of hurricane season left to go. So it's a challenge, but and just in stormy weather in this stormy year, and I kind of just feel like the hurricane is emblematic of the energies right now. We've got the Mars Pluto square. And then luckily for us, Mars does move away from the squares with Saturn and Pluto, but of course he's going to move to square Jupiter then, and that's expansive. And even though Jupiter is the great benefic and brings luck and good fortune, he also expands everything. So you can see this is not ending yet. Okay. But this weekend, well, today, Friday, for a start, we have the moon in Cancer and the sun in Libra, forming this wide cardinal grand cross. And if we move forward to the last quarter square tonight, it's at 17 degrees and 10 minutes, so that's almost exact. You can see that the sun is moving to square Jupiter. It's already squared Pallas Athena, so it's on its way to square Pluto and square Saturn. The moon is opposing Jupiter on the last quarter square, and then is moving to oppose Pluto and Jupiter. And then, of course, they're all in this wide square to Mars and Ceres, and Mars is moving backwards, so the moon is moving to square Mars as well. And I'm probably going to take you through the hours over the weekend, because it's really a huge weekend with all of this. But tonight and overnight tonight is huge. I'm kind of a little bit worried about this hurricane for them, but it's showing up in everything as this stormy chaos, crisis energy, in our governments, with the pandemic increasing everywhere. I do know in Utah, in one of our local hospitals, the ICU beds are now full, and people are waiting for a bed. And it was described as a constant line of people with respiratory symptoms coming into the ER. So, that's just Utah. And it's happening everywhere. And we're kind of reaching this real peak energy. It was kicked off with that conjunction back in January, of course, with Saturn, Pluto conjunct with the Sun, Ceres, and Mercury all there. But we also have Mercury stationing in 5 days' time. So we're in the zone of the Mercury station. And Mercury's stationing in Scorpio, which is the deep ocean. And it's stirring things up and bringing things to the surface, okay, especially because it's opposing Uranus. This is crazy energy, to be quite honest. So you can see this line is thick. This grand square is going to build. I'll keep pointing out at it. In fact, let me just share the screen again and get my annotations up. so you can see. So we have this line to here, this line to the sun, and it's the sun, so we always give a bigger orb anyway. So even though the sun is like 8 degrees away from the square with Saturn, it's in orb, and the moon's moving fast, so she's going to dive in. So we've got that square. Then we've got this ongoing opposition, and that's got Black Moon Lilith, which is the wild woman involved in that one. In Taurus and Scorpio, that's to do with finances, values, but other people's finances, and the earth is very Taurian too, and Scorpio is the deepest ocean. Then we can see some other lines here. We've got Mars actually going to coming up to aspect the lunar nodes too, so our past and our future. So whilst Mars is activated by Pluto, it's pushing us inexorably towards our future. Okay. Now, there is huge potential in all of this. I have to keep saying that for all of you, because people go, oh, when will it end? That's my least favorite question, by the way. When will it end? Well, we're in tumultuous times that are bringing us into a new age. There's no like start and end date exactly. Things fade in and fade out, and we are at a peak. Personally, I think so. So to go forward hours, I'll keep pointing at things. Okay, we move from the last quarter moon, which in itself is a crisis in consciousness. On my daily post on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere, I posted the Chandra symbol for it. But let's read you the Sabian symbol, 18, Cancer. But I do want to talk about the Cancer moon. She's very tender. She's the empath. She feels things, and she's about safety and security. And she feels really threatened with all this energy. So, the energies are just kind of saying that, we're a little bit under pressure today with all of this. Okay. Now, the Sabian symbol is a hen scratching the ground to find nourishment for her progeny, a practical concern with everyday nourishment necessary to sustain one's outreaching activities. And it says what's at stake here is the fulfilling of life's responsibilities. And that is so true. This last quarter moon under pressure is saying, look after you and your own. Really, look after the practical, to look after your family, your progeny, your progeny is all that you birth, not just your children. Okay. So I don't want to make this too long, so I won't go into all detail on that. But we see the moon reaches 22. And I do want to mention that Pluto is still at the minute that the degree and minute of his station. So he's in an extremely powerful place right now too, because he only stationed retrograde 5 or 6 days ago, or 5 days ago on the 9th. And he doesn't start to move off that minute till tomorrow. Saturn has only just recently stationed retrograde too. So this is intense evolutionary forces bringing major change. And, Cancer, as I said, will feel under threat, but you may feel like very drained, very exhausted. Take naps as needed. This is the time to really kind of take care of yourself, nurture yourself, do what you need to do financially, spiritually, physically, health-wise, everything to take care. So this is going through the night for us here, but for some of you not. It's emotionally challenging, like I say, very draining. Then the moon squares, it's also squared Mars, it squares Eris. And incidentally, Pluto and Eris are going to be heading towards their middle exact square that's on December the 10th. So this whole period is really challenging. The moon then opposes Saturn and finally leaves the building, so to speak, and things start to ease on that square. As so today is very intense, as shown by the actual hurricane. Okay, but the moon then I'm just going to tell you what time it goes void. After the opposition to Saturn, the moon goes void on Saturday at 10:03 a.m. until 6:24 p.m. I would suggest having a real quiet Saturday. Stay at home, do nice things around the home, take naps, do what, all that you can in those kind of areas. All right. Because at the same time, while the moon's void, though, we do have something else coming up. So we have, that's my dog scratching the carpet. We do have while the moon's void, Venus in Virgo, who's a little bit picky, a little bit like, oh, I don't like that. It's about cleansing. It's about, about purifying. She's about, oh, you're kind of unclean. Stay away from me. That kind of thing as well. And Venus is making a trine to Uranus, who of course is still opposing Mercury, even though Mercury's moved to the 11th degree, where he will station retrograde. But this is all happening together, and Venus trine Uranus, and Uranus is still conjunct Lilith, is saying just you're being a bit rattled here. You're being a bit shaken, and with Mercury going retrograde, we're being asked to rethink a lot of our values and to come into the higher elevation of Venus, really, which is service and being useful and practical. And that brings us back to the words of that Sabian symbol about doing what's practical. Dig your garden, prepare it for winter if you're in out the north. In the south, start planting your seeds. Virgo is the grain, the harvest as well, and it's about coming into wholeness. So it's like looking after your health, maybe starting a cleanse, just taking care of the practical details is the best you can do, instead of sitting like looking at what's going on in the world and going, oh my God, what's swirling on around us. Just come down to a change how you do things. Do what's useful and helpful to others. Be considerate of others, how you can help others. So we're just, with Venus coming up to aspect this Mercury Uranus opposition, with both Mercury and Uranus being of the mind, we are really being asked to change how we do things, change our minds. With Mercury stationing as well, we'll get some light bulb moments. This is quite a nice aspect, actually, but it is saying you have to think differently, think outside the box. Okay. So to move forward, okay, at 6:24 p.m. in Utah time, Mountain Time, the moon moves into Leo. But you can see here as well, the sun has now hit the 18th degree and is really starting to square that, square Jupiter, and move to oppose Mars, who incidentally is at his maximum brightness. He was actually on the 6th, but he's still really bright. Okay. Because of proximity to the Earth and such like. But so we can see that this turmoil is not going away, and it's going to be involved in next week's new moon. If you haven't listened to our weirdly magical podcast, Libra new moon episode yet, go have a listen, because it's a big new moon. But the moon moves into Leo on Saturday evening, and that's a little bit more playful, a little bit more joyful. Still in the challenging times, though, I have to tell it like it is. How I wish I could come and go, you're going to have a joyful weekend and it's going to be all fun and things. Well, some of you might find the fun and things. Depends where your personal aspects are, okay? But when the moon moves into Leo, the first, let's move forward, because there's not many aspects until early on Sunday morning. Okay, so we kind of have a bit of a peaceful night, Saturday night into Sunday. But the moon in Leo hits Hygeia, the health and the health asteroid, which is generally global health at the moment. And, you know, it's getting fired up. The Hygeia's been in trying to Chiron, so we've got this, and we see the pandemic increasing everywhere. So it's about pay attention to your health, maybe have some heart health and some fun and some joy. Because, you know, there is some evidence, and I'm not a scientist, that if you're, you know, finding what brings you joy and you're feeling good and you're not getting caught up in all that's happening out there, that your immune system gets a boost. It's also suggesting get some sun. Leo is ruled by the sun. So maybe, you know, go and sit out in the sun, take a walk in the sun, get your D3, you know. This is just a minor aspect, but, you know, it's probably good advice anyway. At the same time, we see that Black Moon Lilith is hopped back conjunct Uranus. So things are feeling wild still with this opposition, all that kind of stuff. The moon's in aspect to Juno, so the rights of marginalized people is definitely still up because they're the worst hit by everything. But also our relationships, our soul contracts with each other is up for deep reflection. Okay. And then the moon moves on, but at this, early in the morning, the sun actually squares Jupiter exactly. And we can see Mars has moved back to the 21st degree. So this is tightening up again, okay, as Mars approaches the square to Jupiter, but also then the sun is approaching the opposition to Eris. So some fade in, some fade out, but still this cardinal T-square is just huge. All right. So the moon, so the square to Jupiter is like kind of like something big kind of could be released under all this energy, especially in the dark of the full moon. We're waning towards that full moon that's on the 16th. We're almost at the Mercury station. It kind of feels like a bit of a flood, okay, of collapse, really. So then the moon moves on, and guess what the moon does then? She joins this Mercury Uranus opposition by square. She activates that. So Sunday, you know, it's not the worst square. But it's like shaking. News might shake us, but also it's like it feels like very creative. It feels like lots of like ideas and innovative thoughts to move forward through this. How can I change my own life to move through this? Okay. And then, of course, because the moon squares Uranus, it then squares um, Mercury afterwards in the afternoon on Sunday. And then on, oh goodness, early in the morning, Monday morning, so we'll just whiz forward a few hours. Jupiter, okay, Jupiter's over here now in Capricorn. Remember, it's just had the square to the sun. It makes one of the sextiles to Neptune. This is the second exact sextile to Neptune. All of last year, we had Jupiter square Neptune 3 times. Now Jupiter's moved forward and we have the sextiles to Neptune. And Neptune in Pisces tends to be a big surrender and flood out release. Okay. So something's being released in a big way about our beliefs and our faith and things. old ideas. Jupiter rules the south node, the south node in Sagittarius. So we're really being asked to let go of our old beliefs that were that we were brought up in, our culture, our institutions, all that kind of thing, of the beliefs of how it should be. Capricorn's very much about the shoulds. Well, this is how it's always worked, so this is how it should work. Flood it away. Let it go. Innovate new ways of thinking with this Mercury-Uranus opposition. And then the moon will sextile, sorry, there's the moon over there, will sextile the sun too. And we really end up going to the last phase before the new moon. So really all this is working in tandem around 18, let's move it on to get the moon at 18. So around 18, 19 degrees. That's all working in tandem, really. It's actually, to get my drawing tool on again, it's actually making, so this is an inconjunct, which is an uncomfortable kind of break free aspect. So the moon's making that to Neptune, and then Neptune is sextile Jupiter, the moon is sextile Sun, and then the Sun is square to Jupiter. So it's making this kind of bucket, which is also, because that's in aspect to that too, and that's in aspect to that too, which is, I think, called the envelope. I can't remember. It's a configuration anyway, but it means these are all working together in quite uncomfortable aspects, actually. So, it's a little bit unbalanced, but it's really asking us to release and let go those shoulds, in my opinion. So it's quite the weekend, and interestingly, Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day, or used to be Columbus Day. So for some, it's a holiday. That's going to be interesting as well, because that usually causes some contention too. And I wouldn't be surprised if that causes some contention in the USA with all these, opposing forces wanting the USA to stay as the founders started it, and then anyway, you get the idea. So the fight between the people who want to keep it as Columbus Day and the fight between Indigenous Peoples Day. It wouldn't surprise me if there's something about that, to be quite honest. I'm just seeing if I've missed any aspects. There was a couple of minor ones. Follow my daily posts for that, or become a member of my community. There's a link in the YouTube description. Just for $5 a month, you get 5 videos a week, and plus some other things, and a month ahead video as well. I'll be doing the November one at some point, but you'll get access to the October one that I did. If you want more detail, I go into very great detail for my members. Okay, but I think that's it, to be quite honest, for the weekend, as if that's not enough. It's huge, it's unsettling, it's challenging. One thing I didn't mention is Ceres as well. Where is Ceres? I can't find her. She's stationed or slowing down to station direct, and Ceres will station direct at 28 degrees 36 minutes. So she's just 7 minutes from stationing direct, and she's a bit destroyer energy nature-wise too. So I think there's going to be a little bit of stormy weather in some areas of the world, and the hurricane, but I think there's going to be others too. So there we have it. Generally stormy weather. So thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the video. Please subscribe if you like the video, and give it a like. Maybe check the little bell so that you get notified when I upload new videos. And have a quiet weekend. at home looking after your progeny. Okay.